Joining us on this leg of the show is Subhajit Sen, the Chief Marketing Officer of Micromax. Great to have you with us, Subhajit. You know how you got Hugh Jackman as the face of the brand. It brought in a lot of media attention for Micromax. So my question is, do you think this move has convincingly helped you to make that important transition from a local Indian brand to a global aspiration one, something that you have been looking forward to? Or do you think there is more ground to be covered before you realize that dream?
So Micromax's association with Hugh Jackman is now actually in its second year. We're actually moving into a third year now. And I think the impact of this association on Micromax has changed over this time. So when the first advertisement campaign broke with Hugh Jackman, which was I think in 2013, I think at that point in time the key strategy was how do we really pull the brand apart and make it and give it a global, aspirational and premium equity. And that campaign clearly did that job. You can see that in the equity scores, you can see that in the conversations that's happening on digital. Clearly it kind of brought in a lot of sunlight between us and the local players. This is the second campaign in which we have used Hugh Jackman, and the objective this time was slightly different because I don't think the core objective is anymore to really position ourselves as a global premium brand, because we think we're already there or pretty well on our way to be there. This time's objective was we had a breakthrough product, the Canvas Sliver 5. It is the world's slimmest and lightest phone. And the genesis of this idea was when we saw the product and we were all really excited with it. The brief to the agency was come back with an advertising idea which focuses on the one differentiating factor, which is the form factor, how slim it is. And the first creative storyboard that we saw actually didn't have Hugh Jackman in it. So the idea, pretty much the same ad, but without Hugh Jackman in it. And then as we were discussing and as the idea grew bigger, we said what would happen to this film, which is already great, if it had an A-list Hollywood star like Hugh. And lo and behold, we had what we think is a really great film.
So is it because of the fact that you've positioned Micromax as a global aspirational brand that this pressure becomes higher to create a stronger niche in the premium smartphone market? Because that's where the margins are, aren't they?
I think so in terms of the category is clearly going through a big churn. What's really driving the category category growth still is the fact that there are approximately about 80 to 100 million users who are moving from the feature phones into smartphones. And that's where a lot of the action is happening, which is really in the sub 7,000 rupee smartphone category. So that's where a lot of the action is happening. But our bet is that over the next few years, as people start moving into the second, third and fourth phones, they will go up the value ladder. So we need to be ready for them with a premium range, with a distribution that's perfect, with the service quality standards which is ready for the more discerning upmarket consumers. So I think that's where I think we are trying to head the business, and so far at least it's working for us.
Subhajit, I'd like you to take a couple of steps back and tell me what kind of shifts in the media mix that you're effecting right now. You're coming into the hot seat as the marketing chief at Micromax. So what kind of changes are you effecting in terms of strategy when it comes to media?
Well, I've been the CMO now for about 5 months, and in this category that's a lifetime. But even within these 5 months, there are lots of shifts that we are seeing. So this is an interesting category, obviously, because everything is changing pretty randomly, very fast, and all at the same time. And when I say everything, there's clearly the whole point about technology disruption. So if you see the costs of technology is coming down, new technology is coming, and they keep coming at a more increasing frequency. So that disruption is happening in the category pretty much every day. What's very clear is print advertising is fantastic when it comes to creating impact in the marketplace for people to start talking about. That leads to a lot of search which is happening on digital, and you can clearly see the spikes, and you need to be ready for that surge in search volumes. So you need to have a very strong digital plan. And then from the digital plan, you want to direct the consumers onto places where they can actually go and purchase the product on some of the sites. So that's at one level. Advertising, as in traditional TV advertising, has a different role. It kind of now builds overall brand equity. It gives a kind of a foundation for your entire marketing communication plan. So I think what's interesting is how the different elements of your communication plan are talking to each other, and it's a bit like a relay race where one medium literally passes on the baton to another medium, and you've got to kind of walk the consumer through the entire cycle.
Subhajit, you need to make those all-important connections with the world of sports. That's one surefire way to establish presence in a buzzing market. So I'm wondering how the Wimbledon connection has worked out for Micromax. There must have been lessons that you must have picked up, and I'm wondering also if you're going to stay associated with that event on an ongoing basis?
We haven't taken the long-term association decision yet. The reason why we were obviously associated with Wimbledon this time was it was the biggest sporting event that was on the calendar at the time of the launch. So we knew that the premium urban youth, the aspirational premium upmarket youth, would be watching Wimbledon, and therefore it made so much sense to be present there.
But you know how in India it's all about cricket. Here's where it is religion. You think cricket's propensity now to reach out to audiences, to impress audiences, is going to get affected by what's happened in the IPL match fixing scam? Because, there are strategies at work over here for not just your brand, but for all brands associated with the world of cricket. Keeping in mind what has happened, how is it going to change your strategy?
I think cricket will continue to remain the most viewed, most engaging sports platform for a fairly long time. So I don't think anything will come close to giving the reach that cricket can give over, 3 to 6 months. That is very clear. I think we don't have a view on how the IPL story is unfolding, about what it will do to the viewership pattern. It's too early to say that. All that I would say is that cricket has to kind of remain, if you're interested in sports, cricket will have to remain as a foundation. What is interesting though about cricket viewership certainly is how much of that is now happening digitally as opposed to purely on TV. So our judgment, and we could be wrong, this is early anecdotes, but TV viewing of cricket is becoming more of a social viewing pattern where friends or families sit together and watch a match. But if you want to watch cricket individually, I think a lot of people are turning to the digital channels.
Then on a more general level, Subhajit, what are the marketing aspects for the launch of a new product that you particularly consider absolutely crucial when it comes to making a successful launch, as it were?
From a launch perspective, as I said, I think we're building a fairly robust model where we are trying to handhold the consumer through the journey from awareness right through to the purchase of the product. And it's not one purchase journey, but there are multiple purchase journeys. So when you look at a marketing strategy, what you need to figure out is, A, how do you make a consumer aware of the product, and aware in a very impactful manner? Then we know that leads to a very active search phase where they're talking to the friends, whether they're talking, searching online, they're going out to the retailers and basically looking for a lot more of deeper down information, product information, and you know that you need to be present at those touch points. And then they go through a very active consideration phase where they might be looking at 2 or 3 different models and choosing between them. And there you need to come up with very competitive claims, as well as make the consumers touch and feel the products through the demo products, etc. And finally, of course, is just the management of the actual sale transaction.
All right. Great to have you with us, Subhajit. It's a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with everything going ahead from here.